guys.
Darren,
Inland
great
fella.
having you on podcast, Testify podcast, mate.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yep. You know, we hear 10 minutes, a little snippet.
Yep.
So we can just
Yep.
expand it out a bit more and
Yep.
people can hear a bit more of a fuller journey. You certainly had people captivated for 10 minutes and it's a very powerful testimony.
It was actually 15. I went a bit over.
Did you? Did you?
Yeah,
Well, don't do that again. Not going to ask you again.
15 minutes and 9 seconds to be exact.
Wow.
Were you timing?
But, I went on the video and I said to my wife, I said, oh man, I went 5 minutes over.
That's all right.
Well, we're heavy on our chastising, aren't we? So great. So maybe just kick off. Where you were born and raised?
Yes, I was born in New Zealand. I was born in on the north shore of Auckland, Takapuna.
Oh,
Nice.
apologies about that.
Sorry?
Apologies about that.
It's a great place.
Is it
Didn't have
good?
much of a choice. But we sort of, my family grew up around the Beck and Head area, down towards Beach Haven. We lived there till I was about 10 years old. And no God. God wasn't involved in our family at all.
No, church, God, nothing.
Nothing. No.
Zero. Zip.
Zero. Zip. My father was very anti. No, I'm not going to be a Bible basher or anything like that. He was,
Wow.
Yeah, he was pretty open about it.
What about at school? Did you have religious education? And
No, nothing. I didn't hear any of the gospel.
did you not go to school?
I went to school. I think I went to school. Yeah, but no. I never heard anything about the things of God.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing, eh?
That's really amazing.
No Māori or Islander in your heritage?
Not on my side, my wife's side. Yeah, but no.
Okay.
No, it was just I don't remember anyone speaking about God at all.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
So what was life like then? You just went up, get to school, go home?
I was pretty much, I never knew what I was going to get my father. I never knew what type of mood he was going to be in.
Oh, okay.
He could turn on me in a moment.
Wow.
He had issues with alcohol. If he wasn't home at 7 o'clock, he was in the pub.
So 7 o'clock comes around, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, because he would come home at 7 o'clock every night. If he was home, bang on 7 o'clock. If 1 minute past 7, he was in the pub. He was in the pub.
How many siblings you got?
I just got one sister.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 years younger. So, yeah, it was it was interesting. I basically tried to just please people, so I wouldn't get too many bother. People used to, because of my name, because I was named after a TV show, especially members of my family would call me Durwood or Dum Dum, because that's what the character in the program, Bewitched.
Oh, yeah.
His mother-in-law called him Durwood or Dum Dum, so I got called those names. So I was very much about trying to please people, so I wouldn't be called those names. So I very much kept quiet, kept to myself.
Oh, wow.
Quite an introvert.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Wow.
It was just a challenging.
Wow.
Yeah. My mother had no confidence at all. She couldn't drive, and so we're fairly isolated in a way. We had people around, neighbours to play with and stuff like that, but I just found myself very isolated, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, growing up, what's the first hurdle in your life, apart from your dad's drinking?
Well, we had a dog, and my mother called it Devil. She named our dog Devil, so we had Devil the dog. And one of my chores at night was to let her go out and do her business and then call her in. So I'd scream the name Devil right around the neighbourhood. All the neighbours could hear me every night. I'd scream at the top of my lungs.
Calling the devil back home.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
geez.
and now I can look back and go, wow.
Far out.
What happened? You were calling it in. I was calling the enemy in every single night. So yeah, it was challenging, and I was just trying to keep quiet and do the best I could, and wasn't allowed to show my emotions. Suck up, get on with it, be a man, blah blah.
So what? Okay. You were in Birkenhead until.
So I was 10 years old. Then we moved across town to the south of Auckland, Papatoetoe.
Oh, yo.
And that was like a culture shock completely, because that was more cultural. with
Islanders
Islanders and Maoris, and so you're dealing with you've got your Tongans and Samoans and your Maoris, and they get on some and some don't, and so that was a real culture shock for me, and I sort of really crept back even further.
Right.
It became more isolated. That's when I really found life to be really tough, through bullying and so I just generally kept quiet, not wanting to make a noise. My father's drinking was excessive. It was just very hard to relate to him at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Sport? Did you play sport?
Yeah, I played quite a bit of sport. I was actually called Sportsman of the Year one year.
Oh, wow.
But not for that reason. I committed a cardinal sin on the rugby field. I got the ball one day and had this big Samoan guy coming towards me, legs like tree trunks, 13, look, 100 kilos, and I thought, I'm not having this. I'm not going to let him tackle me, so I ran back towards my try line with the ball. And I think I kicked it out. Eventually, but the next day I came to school and everyone's going, Sportsman of the Year.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't go down the rugby line anymore, but actually I had success playing table tennis.
Oh, wow.
And so I joined the table. I thought I had an interest in it, and so I joined the table tennis team, and it was a boys' team. We had 3 players, and our first match that year were Papatoe High School versus the Epsom Girls Grammar School. So we're a bunch of boys playing the girls from Epsom Girls Grammar, and I thought, oh man, this will be a bit of a lark. It'll be nice and easy. And I didn't train for it, so I just turned up expecting to win, and they
Got
thrashed
smoked.
me. They all 3 of them smoked me, mate. Total embarrassment. And then in the doubles, I had 2 doubles matches to play, and they did it again because they knew I was a weak link, and I nearly lost the whole game. The other guys won at least singles and doubles and won the match, but that was really embarrassing. But from that moment, I just thought, no, I'm going to make a go of this. So I went home, got the phone book out, bought a table tennis table, put it in the garage, and I just practiced like an animal for weeks.
Wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
a few years later, when Forrest Gump came out, and there's that scene when he's doing the ping pong, and I was looking at it, oh man, that's what I did. And we actually went on to win the school championships.
Oh, awesome.
Oh,
so
you recovered.
Yeah, so
Nice.
so that was a big achievement. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
And what happened? Did your mum pass away or move out?
Yeah, my mother had been a chain smoker since she was probably 12 or 13 or something, and I knew she'd been ill when I was 16. She'd been experiencing some issues, and one day she just died on a Tuesday afternoon in April 1982.
Out of nowhere.
Well, everyone knew she was dying. She'd been given 6 weeks to live, but
Okay.
my parents made a decision that they wouldn't tell my sister or I that she was dying. So my grandparents went and got me on a Sunday afternoon, said, come and stay with us. We'd like you to come and stay. They lived in Mount Roskill.
Yeah.
Your end of the world, mate.
Let's go. They must be amazing people.
And so they made a big deal about it. So I
Were
remember,
you close with them? Not really.
to an extent, yeah,
Okay.
to an extent.
Okay.
Mainly with my grandmother. My grandfather was a bit of a handful at times.
Okay.
And I went and just thought, yeah. I remember my mother waving to me from the window as I went, and I thought that was really odd because she never did that. And that was the last time she knew that's the last time she was ever going to see me. And that Tuesday afternoon, 48 hours later, she died. And the funny thing is that I was working in Penrose at the time, and I was getting a bus from Penrose across to Mount Roskill. And you probably know, I was on 3 Kings Road.
Yeah.
There's an old folks' home on the corner of 3 Kings Road in Queenstown, which leads up to Hare Road,
Yeah.
where my grandparents lived. And I got off the bus there, and I hear this audible voice, "Your mother's dead." And I turn around on the bus and I'm looking around, and there's no one on there. The driver was there, and no, it can't have been him. I heard it distinctly, "Your mother's
Wow.
dead." And I got off the bus and I'm walking up the road there, and I'm thinking, man, I'm 16, I'm going crazy. What's happening? And I just walked, just thinking about it, walking home, and I got into my grandparents' house, and my grandfather was sitting at the table, and he didn't even have to say it. He just stood up, and I knew. I said, she's gone, isn't she? And he said, yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Whoa.
and for me that was devastating because, you know, if she died in a car accident, it would, you know, you could have had something to grab hold of, but 48 hours after I'd seen her last, she was gone. And it was very much kept swept under the carpet. The funeral was on the Friday. And I remember my father saying to me on Sunday, I'm going back to work tomorrow, your sister's going back to school, you go back to work, and we're just going to forget about it. And it just all got swept. We're not going to talk about it, no counselling, no nothing. So I had to deal with all this trauma in a few days. So within a few weeks, my father had developed a relationship with my mother's best friend from school, moved out of the house, moved in with her. My sister and I were basically left to fend for ourselves. He gutted most of the house of furniture, would bring around some food every week, come and check on us every now and again, and basically, we were
So
left.
you were 16, 17, fending for yourself?
16, my sister was 13, and
Fending for yourself?
yeah. Just like in a week, well, a month. It was really tough.
Did your grandparents come and check on you? Or?
No one was allowed to talk to us about it. It was all. I believe he probably said, "I don't want you talking to the kids about it. Or I'm going to cut you off."
Wow.
So everyone was made just to dance around it.
I wonder what his thought process was.
I mean, to do that, it's hard. You know, I mean, I couldn't do that to my kids. I mean, if my time, you know, I'm going to get it out there and we're going to talk about it and deal with it.
Yeah, you know better now.
I know the truth, you know. He didn't know the truth. He didn't, you know.
So at the funeral, no thought of what's happened after life?
No, it was nothing like that.
No prayer at the funeral?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. We're just at the crematorium. I don't even remember anything.
So still, there's no
God. No God mentioned at all.
Grandparents?
No, nothing.
Wow.
All these people in church and in that crematorium room that day, nothing was said about God or about where she may have gone or what could be happening. No.
Okay.
We were just made to fend for ourselves.
So you're back home. Your dad's moved in with some other lady, and then you're just fending for yourself. You're going to work.
I'm working my first job, which was good, but I got in with the wrong crowd because you look for family wherever you can find it, and it might not always be the best type of people. So I started hanging out with a bunch of guys from
work,
from Otara and Otahu, who probably weren't the best people to be around.
Oh, great people.
Well, there's some good people that come from that area, but these guys probably, like me, they were all lost. They were all lost trying to make a go of life.
So you're starting to drink and...
doing drinking drugs, doing petty crime, all sorts of stuff.
What about your sister? She's just 13. What's she doing?
I don't know. I don't know how she handled it. Yeah, it's tough.
It's real tough.
Yeah.
And so what's happening then? You're 17, 18, just working away.
Well, I'm just
doing your business.
Yeah, this is 1982. I'm just doing the best I can, trying to get through life the best I can. Working for a guy, nice guy, but he was the leader of the Freemasons in East Auckland. So again, I'm working in the enemy territory, and I'm just hanging out with the wrong people, just trying to get through life. And then, so this is around April, May, and then in August, my mother's mother died. So now I'm having to deal with another death in the family again. And I remember my father saying, just get over it. You knew she was dying. Suck it up, get on with it. It was just swept all under the carpet again. So I'm dealing with lost my mother, my father moving out, my grandmother dying. That for a 16-year-old, that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. That's a lot.
I mean, today, being part of a church community, you'd want to get in and find someone to talk to about it, get some counselling about it.
Yeah.
But I had nobody. I had nobody.
Wow.
So you just go into
survival mode.
Survival mode, and just
suppress everything.
Yeah, and just hey, these people accept me for who I am. They may not be the best people, but
at least it's someone.
It's someone. Yeah, and So that's how I win.
Even bad love feels like love.
Yeah, that's right.
So at least it's bad love rather than no love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bit of connection.
And then in December, I'd been out for a few beers with some of the guys, and we hopped in the car. He had a Ford Cortina, bench seats, and I didn't put the seatbelt on in the front. He went around a corner, and we flipped the car 3 times, rolling around, no seatbelt on. How I walked out of that is an absolute miracle of God.
Man.
I just got the scars on my hands still just here. That showed me God's glory that day. I mean, God must have been, he definitely was looking out for me that
Working
day.
overtime.
Yeah. I mean, I should have died. I should have died.
Do you remember the accident? The flipping?
Yeah. Just going round and round, going through the windscreen. My hands were going through the windscreen as I hit the
Smashing
road.
your head on the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyone die in the car?
No. It was a miracle. There's 2 of us in the car and we both survived, but some people don't. It's just a God moment.
And so there was no like acknowledgement of God or anything. It was just like, wow, that was lucky.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, you're lucky. That's it.
So still no God conscience. Wow. Wow.
No God, no.
So how, okay. Keep us moving.
Yeah, how long does that go on for? Work, doing that, drinking, doing your thing for a bit?
I probably went on for about another... I actually got out of... I'm trying to think. I actually left home by then. I moved in with an aunt. But I was still drinking. And, I'd go out and get smashed on every Saturday night. I'd drive home drunk. And I'd drive home from the centre of Auckland out to East Tamaki. And I'd go the back way down through back of Remuera out the back of East Tamaki so the cops wouldn't catch me.
Far out.
I didn't go the highway. We'd go to places where, we'd buy 20, 30 flagons of beer, the jugs. And we'd just sit there drinking all night and just just
rotten.
Wasting our time, mate. And that's what it was like for probably from, 17 right through to, coming up to just after my 20th birthday. That was it. Drugs, drinking, partying. All my wages went on grog. It was just because that
seems hopeless.
Yeah, that's what I thought was normal. That's what I thought my life was worth. Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
20.
20.
So what happened after your 20th that changed?
Well, New Year's Eve 1985, it all changed. So it's interesting. I went, being New Year's Eve, going out to party and so forth, and we went to this club in the city of Auckland, and the doorman was a guy I knew from my childhood. I used to hang out with the Burgess brothers, not the rugby league ones, the Kiwi ones. Yeah. But this was the older brother, and we used to play rugby and cricket, growing up in Birkenhead. And I saw him on the door, and he says, "Oh, it's me, it's Jelly." Cause he said, "Oh, yeah, g'day, how you going?" Yeah. We go in, and probably about half an hour later, he comes up and taps me on the shoulder, and he says, "Oh, how old's that guy in your group there?" And I knew he was underage. And I said, "Oh, I don't know, not too sure." And he says, "Yeah, he looks a bit underage. You guys are going to have to leave." And I'm like, "Mate, it's me. You know me." But he said, "Doesn't matter. Got to chuck you out." So he chucked us out. And we ended up going to another nightclub further uptown. And I walked in, and that night I met Nicola, my wife. She saw me walking through the door. And she will say to you every time, she said, "As soon as you walked through the door, I saw your heart. I didn't see the brokenness in you. I saw the heart."
Wow.
And that's the night we got together. And praise the Lord, mate. We've been together for 37 years this New Year's Eve.
Wow.
And December the 12th, which 2.5 weeks from now, we'll be married for 35 years.
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah, and it's been a great marriage. We've had our ups and downs. We've been close to the edge. I mean, Nicola had the divorce papers signed at one stage, but God stepped in and saved the day.
So you met her. Your life obviously changes because now you're experiencing love and relationship.
Yeah.
And
I had someone who saw me from here,
Yeah.
from the heart.
yeah, she was
You know.
committed to you.
Yeah, right from there. She saw something in me that other
Yeah.
people didn't see.
And did she have a faith background or?
Yeah, she'd grown up in the church, in
Okay.
the Presbyterian church,
Okay.
until she was 18, and then she'd walked away.
Yeah.
You know, being Presbyterian, they were pretty caught up in their ways, and
Yeah.
you know.
So she had a level of faith.
Yeah, she'd actually
In
been.
God.
She'd actually been to an AAG church, and I don't know if she got saved there. She'd have to
Right.
tell you that, but she certainly noticed the difference being around the Pentecostal
Yeah, right.
in that time. But she didn't pursue with that enough, and
Right.
so by 18 she'd walked away.
So you were just like a couple. You were just a
Yeah.
normal
Yeah.
couple, just living for yourselves. And
So she was my first contact with someone who knew the gospel.
okay,
So I actually started reading the Bible when I first started going out with her, and I started with Genesis, and I got to that part in Genesis where so and so begot so and so and so and so
Oh, yeah.
begot, and I fell asleep,
Yeah.
and I gave up. And I should have kept going.
I
you know.
still do fall asleep at that part.
But that was the first moment that I had a touch of God.
Wow.
She's a miracle, mate.
Yeah.
She is a miracle.
So when specifically was the first moment you start dating, and then did you go somewhere together? Did you say, or you?
Well, we pretty much started dating right from the off. So 1985 and 86.
Yeah.
just partying together.
Yeah, we went to nightclubs together. You know, she'd walked away, and you know, she was trying to find the right way to go. And you know, I suppose, yeah, we still kept partying a little bit and going to nightclubs, but I found myself starting to get a bit bored with that situation. So we ended up I think it was about a year later, we bought our first property in Auckland, in Glenfield. And then I asked her to marry. Well, she says I didn't ask her to marry. We sort of said, let's get married. I think it's a bit, you'd have to ask her the full story. That I just sort of said one day, oh, you know, we'll get married, you know, and it just sort of went from there. But so we bought a house and made plans to get married, and she actually said to me, you know, you got to ask my dad for my hand. And her father was a big, strong guy, you know. And I remember, well, I mean, I've got to go and ask him. She said, yeah. So I had to go one night, and I went into the lounge and with him, and it was just me and him, and Coronation Street was on the TV. I remember it. And Nicola had closed the doors to the lounge, and I'm sitting there going, oh, man, just say it. And Nicola, at one moment, opened the doors and put her head in, and I'm going, I'm dying here. And I didn't do it.
Didn't you?
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. So I had to go back and do it a second night.
That's pretty cool.
And then I finally plucked the courage up and said, oh, Mr. Buckland, you know, I'd like to marry Nicola. And he sort of said, well, I'll have to speak to Mrs. Buckland about that and get back to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but, you know, and, but they said yes, and so we had our first property, and we weren't able to live together. She was still living at home while I lived in the house for the first year, and then we got married in 1987.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, so it wasn't your first encounter with God was after that or during that period?
My first encounter with, now I look back at my life, my first encounter with God was on the bus. When,
Right.
Oh,
when God,
because I was gonna
Yeah.
come, but when, because that's what I wanted to.
yeah,
When did the penny drop for you that was God?
when I was 41.
41.
Yeah. It wasn't until I got saved when I was 41. I finally said to God, God said to me, I've always been there. And I remembered where he'd always been there through my life.
Wow.
I remember that day vividly. Remember how I told you your mother was dead. And I've had people say to me, man, God was a bit harsh that day. And I said, no, he wasn't harsh. He had to get my attention.
Yeah.
And getting my attention was saying, she's dead. That got my attention. You know, it wasn't, you know, flowery or anything. It was just, so that's the first time I I can go back and say, yeah, I know God was
He
there.
was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there in the car accident.
Wow.
Like, you know, I shouldn't have walked away from that.
I think him doing that helps paint the picture for you that he was always there.
Yeah.
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 People expect him to say, you know, oh, my darling,
Yeah, I know.
your mother is passing. But he's like, no,
Yeah.
this is what you needed.
Yeah.
And in 10, 20 years, you're going to realise
Yeah.
that I was there then
Yeah.
and I was always there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what happened at 41? Where were you?
41, so I'm 41 years old. There's a lot going on before that. I got saved at the Christian Outreach Centre at Robina Town Centre. There used to be a church in the town centre at Robina.
Luke was just talking about that recently.
Yeah.
No, that was at high school, Rabina High School.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. The details.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where Luke's talking about because I went there too.
Yeah.
At Robina High School. Yeah, so that's where I know Luke and the family.
Oh, awesome.
But so I it's a long story how I got there. I was when we came to Australia in 1992. I actually started gambling. My father was a gambler.
So you started.
I started gambling.
in 92.
In 1992, when we first came to Australia. My father had always been a gambler, and I never really took much notice of it. But I saw an ad when we arrived in Australia. I saw an ad in the paper: make money at horse racing, make thousands of dollars a week.
Oh, wow.
So I rang this guy up, and he said, "Oh, I'm up in Brisbane. Come up." So I drive up to Brisbane to see this guy, and the address he gave me was this opulent mansion on the river in Hamilton, on Brisbane River. And I remember looking at this place going, wow, I want that. You know, can I make this type of money and get that? Yeah. So I walk in there, and there's this woman meets me at the door, and she's all dressed up like a model, and, you know, saying all the right words, because it's all marketing to guys. You know, it's not like some doss house in the back of town and some old, you know.
Not reality.
Yeah.
No,
But-
we're not going to show you reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just made it look to be so easy, so wonderful, so inviting, and I was hooked.
So what was the pitch?
The pitch was you can make $5,000-$10,000 a week.
And was it for you to be a bookie, or was it for you to be betting money?
I was going to be betting my own money on the horses, so it was a computer system that showed you how to bet on the horses, so you would bet, you knew what horses and how much money to put on it. And
Was it the opposite? Were you betting on the ones that weren't going to win?
the actual system was betting on the field, so you bet on every single horse.
Yeah, I used to sell that system years ago.
Was
A
it
similar system, yeah. Cold calling and doing it, yeah.
Was that in Brisbane or down
I was down here, but a similar horse.
could have been the same guy. I can't remember the guy's name,
Yeah,
but I remember seeing a newspaper report a few years later about his deceitful ways.
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got hooked right into it. I mean, the first day I operated it for real, I made $600 in 20 minutes. And I thought, man, I'm made.
This is it. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
And the next day was Melbourne Cup Day 1992. And I got up $100 and I had a feeling maybe I should quit. And I thought, no, I'm going to keep going. And I ended up losing $3,000. And that just put me in a hole. And I had just, from that moment.
that one day.
In one day. I lost $3,000. In one day.
Oh.
That was
You're chasing your tail.
you just take, and from then you were just chasing it.
I want it back.
I want it back. I want it back. Yeah, and I'll do it. Yeah. Oh. Because when you get a win in gambling, you get a real high. It's like taking drugs. You get a real high, and when you have a loss, you can crash.
Get a real
But you
low.
want to get it back. You want to get it back. It was just embarrassment. I had property in New Zealand. I sold it all to do this. You know, Nicola was just trying to, let me live.
Is this what led to her getting the divorce papers signed?
Partly in years to come, partly, because of my behaviour, and I wouldn't let it go, and this gambling it isolates you, puts you in a place you don't want to be.
And especially you're doing it as a career.
Yeah.
So how long did that go on for?
That system probably I used for about 4 years. And then I started developing my own systems based around that system. I just wanted to get the money back, and I would do anything I could to do it. I just couldn't get it out of my head. I just couldn't get it out of my head.
Did you ever come back up? Was it up and down, up and
It
down?
was up and down all the time. Oh. I can tell you the day. You see, a guy on the punt will tell you, "Oh man, I made $700 in half an hour."
Yeah.
But they'll never tell you about
the 1,500 before.
I lost $3,000 yesterday.
Yeah.
They'll never tell you that. And it just had such a grip on me for so long that addiction would last 14 years.
Oh, man.
And it put my marriage under huge strain. There were weeks when we had 5 cents in our bank. We had hardly any food, scraping. Yeah, I was just, because I didn't know God. So I just thought,
okay, so still no God.
Still no God. Still no God. Still nothing.
Wow.
No.
So no hope.
No, yeah. Yeah, I went through suicide, and also, there was one particular night, Nicola found me in the bathroom with a mouthful of pills. And I know this is a God moment, and she found me the pills in my mouth. She's pleading with me, don't swallow them. And, because I just thought, this is it, I can't do it anymore. And the phone rings. And she went and answered the phone. And when she went to answer the phone, I just felt the strength to take the pills out of my mouth. That definitely for me was a God moment. That moment, I didn't know God, but something just inside of me just said, take these out now. So she got back from the phone. I said, who was on the phone? And she said, that's the weirdest thing. There was no one there.
What?
She said there was complete silence. She picked up the phone and it was complete silence. But that phone ringing was enough for me to get the strength to take those pills out of my mouth.
Wow.
That's God. And now today I can say, that's God.
Man, all these moments he's been trying to get your attention, but there's never any grasp of it.
Yeah, I've had these moments, but I'm still not clicking, making that right click.
And Nicola, is she praying? Is she like, oh God, help us? Or
you'd have to ask her about that, but
surely she must have been.
Yeah, we're at the time we were into all sorts of motivational stuff, new age stuff. We're going to a Tony Robbins course, walk on hot coals. All that stuff, trying to break through stuff, and it's just there was no.
You're on the search. We're
on the search,
for
but
truth.
Just in the wrong way. That stuff was just never going to provide, not the way God can provide.
What made you come to Australia?
I was running away. I was running away
from
New Zealand. I just couldn't live in Auckland anymore, because I felt, even though we had property, we were doing okay, I just felt it wasn't enough.
Wow. Okay.
Because there was no God.
And you got 2 kids then?
Yeah, we got 2 girls. We got Laura, who's 28 today, actually. So happy birthday, Laura. Yeah. And she lives in Auckland, and she's married.
Wow.
And we've got Amy, he's 22 at home.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So they're great. I've been blessed with 3 great ladies in my life.
Yeah.
All of them. So,
Tell me, how did God grab you? How did he intercept you?
Well,
Because you're heading to destruction.
Yeah, I am. This is interesting. Nicola was pregnant with Laura in 1994, and we were driving past St Andrew's Lutheran College down on Tallabudgery Creek Road. And I felt something in me say, send this child to that school. We didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl. We wanted it to be a surprise. And I said to Nicola, we need to send this baby to that school. And Nicola said, yeah, okay. So we enrolled Laura at St Andrews. So when she was 5 years old, off she went. And we just thought, well, maybe she can get that Christian background that we haven't got. Because I thought we just missed the boat. We weren't going to get it, Anyway, so Laura comes home. She's probably 11.
And you're still just gambling.
I'm gambling. And just up and down, daily.
She's 11.
She's 11 years old. She comes home from St Andrew's College. She comes home and she says, Dad, I went to KFC after school today, And my first thought was, well, how'd you go there? I didn't give you any money. What did you get? Chicken nuggets and chips? Who paid for it? And she said, oh, it wasn't Kentucky Fried Chicken, Dad. It was Kids for Christ.
Oh, yeah.
KFC. I got saved and gave my heart to Jesus. And I thought, I'd forgotten about those years earlier when we sent her there. And I thought, look, that's great, Laura. I don't want anything to do with God. I actually said I don't want anything to do with God. Probably said a few words that weren't good. And I remember the look on Laura's face, and Nicola said, so you're not going to take her to church then? I said, no, I'm not going to church. And Nicola said, I suppose I'm going to have to take her. And
wow.
And Nicola had been out of church now for 20-odd years.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if you want to take her, you take her. So Nicola had mentioned that she knew a couple at St Andrews, a guy called Jeff Wilson. I don't know if Jeff Wilson's known as the local adventurer. He's done a few trips to Antarctica and stuff like that. So she went and spoke to him, and he said, yeah, I'll meet you outside the CAC at Robina Town Centre. So he did, walked in, and Nicola got saved.
Far out.
So, Nicola comes home, she says, yeah, I'm saved, I'm giving my heart to Jesus. And it's, yeah, that's great, Nicola. Off
Good
you go.
for you.
Yeah, good for you. You have fun, but I'm not going,
Would have been a fairly easy transition for her, though. She knows it.
Yeah, she'd had that moment with the AAG church, and so she'd clicked.
How awesome, though. It took an 11-year-old daughter, another generation, to spark a revival in your household.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to hear.
Yeah.
Wow.
So here we go. Oh yeah, the girls going off to church every week, and I'm like, I can do whatever I want on Sunday. yeah, fun. And so Mother's Day's coming up, and the year before I'd got a photo frame with Super Dad on it, and Nicola said, "Oh man, I really like the one with Super Mum on it." And I sort of made okay, yeah, maybe I'll go and find that for you. So I drove up to the Q Centre. I remember I drove up to the Q Centre the day before Mother's Day, I'm going to go and find this. And I was at the lights there, and for some reason I turned right. I didn't go straight ahead to the Q Centre. I just turned right and kept heading away. I just felt led. No, I'm not. I'm not going to go and buy it. Just something inside me said no, and I drove away, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to say here? Oh, well, Nicola's a Christian. She's going to forgive me. She'll be right. She'll say, oh, yeah, no problems. So I remember that Saturday in particular, I was lying on the bed, and I said, oh, I haven't actually got you anything for Mother's Day, And she ripped me to shreds.
Wow.
Why? She just turned on, she's normally fairly calm, but she just ripped me to shreds, and I'm sitting on the bed thinking, as a guy, sometimes you say something you wish you didn't say it.
Or you wish you had got what you were committed to get.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah.
I wish I'd gone and got it, And I remember there was a big storm brewing outside. It was black, and it was black inside the bedroom too. What was going on? And I just sat there and I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I just felt the voice inside of me just said, go to church with her tomorrow.
That'll make it up for her.
Yeah. And without hesitating, I just said, I'll go to church with you tomorrow. And she turned around and she just calmed down completely right then and there. Because she'd been praying for me.
Yeah.
She'd been praying for me to come to church.
Wow.
And so I said, yeah, but just so you know, I'm coming tomorrow.
And
that'll be it. I'm just coming tomorrow. So I walk into the CAC church at Robina Town Centre on Mother's Day 2006. Never been in a church in my life.
Wow.
When you walk into a church for the first time, and I know people do this every week, they're thinking, oh man, where am I going? What's happening? You're walking in, you're just keeping your eyes to the floor going, oh, don't look at anyone, You just find a seat and you're standing there and going, oh man, And there were people that Nicola knew. And they'd be turning around to her, hi, and she's going, pointing down on my head, and my face is just going, oh, and I'm going, mate, open the floor, let me out. And it was quite confronting, but then the service started, and I saw all the kids up the front just bouncing up and down. I'm thinking, man, what have they got? All these kids, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Happy.
And I'm thinking, man, what have they got that I need? And the funny thing is, I wouldn't even take communion the first time. I thought the juice was real blood. And I thought they'd killed something out the back. So
For real?
I thought, no. So when
All the blood in the body.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah,
so when
no.
communion came along, I said, I don't want to touch that stuff. Well, I thought it was real blood, but the preacher started preaching, and it was like he was preaching directly at me, and I was like, elbowing Nicola, going, "Have you been speaking to him about me?"
Wow.
And she said, "No, this guy's just come for the day. He's not the pastor of the church." But it was like God was just, I was the only person in the room, and he was bang, bang right at me. And there was enough there in that message that day to make me go again.
Wow.
It's amazing how many people have said that though.
Yeah.
Like, man, that I've turned up to church and they were speaking to me. It's as if they knew my story.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like he was talking directly at me.
And also often the same words that you said prior to coming. I'm only coming today.
Yeah, and I know.
Yeah.
So there was enough in there to say, I'll come next week. So I think I came the next week, and after service I got talking to the pastor of the church, and he spent probably a good half an hour just speaking into me.
Wow.
Just speaking into me. And he said, there's a Bible study on tomorrow night. You should come along. And I said, okay, I'll go along. So Monday night I go to a Bible study. There's just the teacher, another student, and myself. 3 of us in the pastor's office on a Monday night, way down in the dungeons of Rabina Townsend, I suppose you'd call it. And I can't remember what the guy said. He said something, and the penny dropped. And he said, "You want to give your heart to Jesus?" And I said, "Yeah." And I gave my heart to Jesus that Monday night. And I went home, and Nicola said, "How'd it go tonight?" And I said, "I got saved." Wow. She's like, "What? What? Oh, you got saved?" I said, "Yeah, I got saved." So it was just made a decision, and that was it. But here I am still gambling.
So that was 41.
I was just shy of my 41st birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long after that moment did the penny drop for you with the other things that had happened? Obviously not all of it, but was it close around that time that you were like, wow, God on that bus that day coming home?
It was probably in the next few weeks, the big penny that really, it was because I still felt I could keep gambling. I had God on my side. Now He's going to give me the winner at Randwick tomorrow. Oh, mate,
God, tell me which horse is going to win.
Yeah,
It's pretty logical.
yeah, but
Rugby teams say it every Saturday when they pray. God,
So do the
win this
UFC
game.
fighters just before they smash each other.
Yeah.
So I bowled down to the TAB. I'd been going down to the Burley Heads TAB for 14 years. And I ran down there. I was walking fast. Mate, this is the day. It's all going to, everything's going to come right. I'm going to get back everything. So I walk into the Burley Heads TAB. Always felt extremely comfortable there. And I stopped in the doorway. And I noticed something I hadn't noticed before. I just noticed how toxic the place was. I had a...
Like that?
Yeah, just like that. It was, the place just felt yuck for the first time ever. And I'm like, what's going on here? Has the place been robbed or something? I still hadn't clicked. And there's a sound that punters make when they're on a winning horse. They don't hoop and holler because no one wants you to know you're on the winning horse in case someone's waiting for you out in the back with your winnings to knock you over the head. But they make the sound of the serpent. And that's what you hear at the end of a race from the guys who are on the winning horse. And this day, it was like someone had was putting their fingernails down a blackboard. It was just horrible. It was like, what the heck is happening here? And I'm like, okay. So I go and sit in the chair. I've sat in many, many times, and I couldn't get comfortable. I could not get comfortable. I was like sitting on rocks. I was like, what's going on? Get the newspaper out to read the form. And I couldn't see it. It was all jumbled. And then just like on the bus, I heard the voice of God just in me. He said, get up, leave, and don't come back.
Don't.
And I had the decision to make right then and there. Do I say, yeah, I'm going to do that, or do I say, oh, no, I haven't. I got up and I walked out the door. And when I walked out the door, I was healed of gambling right then and there. Wow. And I hadn't been back in 16 years. Wow. Right, it just went gone. And the interesting thing was, a few weeks ago, I was walking past a TAB up at the Q Centre, and I just looked in there and I thought, man, did I used to go in there? Wow. It was like, I don't remember it. I don't remember half of it. I have little visions of it, but I don't remember the 14 years in total, you know. It's just like gone.
14 years every day.
Yeah, every day.
Wow.
Every day. Every day.
Wow.
I'd be in
Praise
there.
The Lord.
I had a TAB account. I could be on the phone. I could be in the TAB. Yeah, if I was out working, I'd stop and put a bet on. And yep.
Wow, just like that, God set you free.
Yeah, He set me free in a second. Just like that.
Wow.
Just like that. Just like that. All desire, gone. You know, and, you know, the enemy has tried to get me back there, as he does.
Of course.
But I've repelled it. And today, you know what? Today he doesn't bother.
No.
You know?
Resist the devil.
You resist the devil and he will flee. And, you know, I'll say that to anyone. Gambling, it's a disease. It'll keep you isolated. There's no way out of it. You're never gonna make riches out of it. You're never gonna make a living out of it. It's rigged. You know, the government makes their money.
Yeah.
The TAB makes their money, and the punter loses.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading a newspaper article the other day about a guy who lives down on Hedges Avenue, big swanky house, and he runs a betting company, and he's making out he's a big wig and all that. And I'm just thinking to myself, mate, you're fooling yourself. Your whole life is based on people's misery. Because God showed me a couple of things. He said, if I'd allowed you to keep gambling, you weren't putting your trust in me. You were putting your trust in a horse.
Yeah.
So
totally.
once I let that go, it's like, okay, God, you're my provider.
Come on.
And the other thing that God said to me was, for you to win at gambling, someone has to lose. Doesn't matter if it's the pokies, lottery tickets, rugby.
Your family lose.
If someone will lose. Someone somewhere will lose. Someone can't put food on their table or pay their rent or blah.
So even in winning, it's contradicting His heart. Like it's like He can't allow you to win because someone else suffers anyway. You know, so
that's right. Someone else is going to suffer. You know, you might win $1,000, but how many people can't put food on their table that night because of that? You've taken their money. It's a vicious cycle.
It's an amazing story, amazing journey. And I know we fast forward quite a bit to get to where you are now, and a lot of awesome things have happened. But just in closing, what now? Where are we? I know, but could you share where are you heading? What's the next 12 months look like? Where are we heading from here, the journey you're on?
Okay, well, when we came to chapel, you know, we thought, man, this is the place to be. We're going to be here for years. We're going to be serving, you know, doing all we can. But God's always got a different plan.
Come on.
And in February of this year, our rent on our house went up $140 a week. And I mean, I know people are getting massive increases. And we thought, we'll be all right this year. But come February next year, they're going to whack it up to $850. And we don't want to do that. Okay, Lord, we need to do something. And we had a friend who had moved out to Gatton and downsized, and he had a good property out there. So we went out there and had a look. Didn't feel right about it. Nicola came to me on a Monday morning and said, I feel God's calling us to Warwick to go and have a look. And I was like, I don't know, you know. But I knew, you know, I know Nicola, when she says something, you know, it's best to act on it this time. Because I should have been at chapel 4 years ago. And if I'd listened to Nicola, I would have been. But I dragged my feet and I thought, well, I'm not going to do this for another 4 years. So, okay, we're going to go this week.
Good man.
So we went on Friday. Of that week. And, you know, the devil turned up on the way out there. And we had we had a guy try to run us off the road, not once but twice.
Wow.
On the way out there.
On the way out there, we're doing 120k. He was in this big, massive camper bus, and he was right up tailgating us, trying to force us off the road because he wanted to go through. And I wasn't feeling comfortable to slow down. There was gravel on this side.
Yeah, it's not a big highway on the way out there.
When you go out via Boona, it's a little bit different. And we were driving along, and this guy's just getting worse and worse. He's up me, and I'm just feeling it. And we came across this right-hand turn in the middle of nowhere onto a dirt road. So I took this right-hand turn, and he drove past, yelling and screaming. And, I don't know, he was just drunk on drugs or whatever. Anyway, I just said to Nicola, maybe God's not calling us to Warwick. And she looked at me and she said, don't you let that devil get in the way. And she said, get out of that car seat, the driver's seat. I'm taking over. And she hopped in and she took off, mate. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, is this where we're going to be, Lord? I got out there and we started looking at real estate and price, and I've seen houses for 250,000,
Wow.
270,000. And I'm feeling, man, this could be. And I heard God again, just inside, nothing big. You're going to be out here this time next year.
Wow.
I didn't say anything to Nicola. And later that night we're talking, she said, what do you think? I said, I feel God's calling us here.
Awesome.
Wow.
So from that moment, we made a decision that, we're going to go to Warwick. We may have to rent for a year.
Sure.
That was our plan. But as it's all turned out, we've bought a house. God's provided. The house, and we move on January the 20th next year.
Come on.
And we've got a house with land, grow some veggies for $295,000.
Wow.
It's just God. It's been God all the way. And so now the plan is, okay, Lord, you're getting us out there. What do you got planned? And it will be when I get out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like when you came to the Gold Coast, you probably didn't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
You didn't know what was going to happen.
Exactly how it was.
So that's the exciting thing about it.
Yeah,
That's the exciting thing about it. So we've just been obedient to God all the way.
Awesome.
And
So good.
It'll be hard to leave Chapel, but we're not far away. We're 2 hours away. It's a quick car trip.
That's
if
it.
we need to come down and
You'll have some visitors every October.
yeah, well, that's right.
I'll be out.
Yeah, that's right. So
awesome.
that's the plan for the future.
So good.
And we know God's in amongst it.
It's good.
He has been right from the start.
Oh, awesome,
man.
Darren.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for testifying
That's
to
all right,
God's
mate.
goodness, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing story.
Yeah,
And we just want to honour you for that,
Thank you.
and we look forward to visiting you in Warwick.
Yeah.
Come on.
Good. You'll be
amazing.
good. Yeah.
Awesome.
New chapter,
Thanks,
mate.
brother.
Thanks, mate.